Hello students, today's topic is pollination. Pollen grains being non-motile. So, angiospermic plant have evolved some strategy to attract the abiotic and the biotic agents. So, what is that abiotic? Wind and water are the abiotic agents and the biotic agents are the insect, bird, snail. So, these gets used for the pollination. Now these are nothing but the visitors. So flower feeding these visitors and exploiting their mobility for the pollination. As I told you that the pollen grains are non-motile. Still these pollen grains carried from one flower to the another flower, or the pollen grain transfer from one flower to the another flower by the external agents. So these external agents, what are these? Birds, insects, snail, wind, water, these are the external agents. So these agents we can also call them as a pollinators. So it is a prerequisite step of the fertilization to reproduce or to carry out the reproduction in the flower. So what is that pollination? Transfer of pollen grains to the stigma, that is called as a pollination. So what is that pollination? Transfer of pollen grains from the anther to the stigma of flower, that is what? Pollination. Now this pollination can further be divided into the three main types on the basis of source of pollination. So there is a self-pollination and cross-pollination. So self-pollination, it means transfer of pollen grain of the anther to the stigma of the same flower or the different flower but the plant same. That is called as a self-pollination. Self-pollination, it also we can say that selfing or inbreeding. Now here is a cross-pollination, exactly opposite. Transfer of pollen grains of the one flower to the stigma of the another flower or the different plant but the species is same. So that is a cross-pollination. Now there are the three main, on the basis of self-pollination and the cross-pollination, there are the three main types: autogamy, geitonogamy and xenogamy. First we will study about the autogamy. It is a type of self-pollination. Self-pollination, what is that? Transfer of pollen grains of the anther to the stigma of the same flower, that is a autogamy. So due to this, do not shows any genetical differences in their offsprings. So because in the same flower pollination gets carried out. Now here is, what is that? It is a type of pollination in which bisexual flower. So bisexual what? Male and female reproductive organ present in the same flower, that is a bisexual, is the pollinated by its own pollen grain. So that's why it is a autogamy and offsprings are genetically identical to their parents. For example is a pea seeds. Now geitonogamy, it is a transfer of pollen grains of the one flower to the stigma of the another flower but the same plant is called as a geitonogamy. So to transfer the pollen grain on the another flower requires some external agent. So here we can say that this type is seems with the cross pollination, but their offsprings do not shows any genetical differences. So that's why we can say that it is a modification or type of autogamy. It is similar with the autogamy because as the pollen grains come from same plant, so that's why it is a autogamy. So here they requires a pollinating agent, so similar with the cross pollination, but no differences in the offsprings, genetical differences in the offsprings. So it is just only of the ecological significance. So best example is a Cucurbita maxima. So this is a geitonogamy. Now xenogamy. So what is that? Cross pollination or outbreeding. Now xenogamy, again it is a type of cross pollination. So anther of the one flower, pollen grains of the anther of the one flower transfer to the stigma of the another flower of the different plant, but the same species is called as a xenogamy. Xenogamy, what is that? Pollen grain, transfer of pollen grain of the anther of one flower to the another flower stigma of the different plant, but species same. Okay, here it requires the pollinating agents. So pollinating agents transfer the pollen grains from one flower to the another flower. So here maybe the chances of increase the chances of genetic differences, or genetically the offsprings are genetically differ from their parents. So variations we can observe in the cross pollination. So most of the flowering plants need to be pollinated, and there is a crop plants or the food and fiber crop plants. These crop plants grown all over the world, and these requires the pollination to produce the seeds, to carry out the reproduction, to produce the seeds. So this is a very important. So majority flower transfers the pollen grain and they need to be pollinated. Okay, so due to this pollination, reproduction is possible in the flower. After the reproduction, we get the seed. So this is the abiotic agents. Now, as I told you that there are the two types of agents, abiotic agents and biotic agents. So abiotic agents are non-living things. So non-living things, what? Wind and water. So these two are the includes in the abiotic agents. So these are the non-living things. So first we will study about the pollination by wind, which is also called as a anemophily. So anemophily is the phenomenon. Okay, so that is what? Wind pollination. The plant which prefer wind pollination, that plant flower is called as a anemophily, anemophilous plant or anemophilous flower. Okay, so these plants are what? Rice, wheat, maize. Even though palm also prefer the wind pollination. So palm tree prefer the wind pollination. So these all are what? Crops plant. So these crop plants prefer the wind pollination. These all are what? Monocotyledon plants. So monocot plants. Now here is a most of the important crop plants are the wind pollinated, like wheat, rice, maize, palms. Now adaptations in anemophilous flower. So there are the flowers possesses or adapts or develop some characters to prefer the wind pollination. So what type of adaptations that we will see here? So flower are small and inconspicuous. So what is the meaning of inconspicuous? Absence of bright color, nectar and fragrance. So that is an inconspicuous flower. Second characteristics, that is a pollen grains are lighter in weight and dry, produces in large amount because there may be the chances of wastage of the pollen grains. And the third characteristics, that is a stigma, is a feathery to trap the pollen grain which are carried out by the wind current. So here is one more characteristics we can observe in the stamens, So stamens are with the long filaments and versatile anther. So what is that? When the direction of the wind, according to that the wind directions, these stamens starts to move. So that is what versatile type of stamens. And the stamens and stigma are exposed to the air current. So this is a plant, maize plant, which shows the male flower at the apex and female flower at the base. So these flowers are the group. So that is what inflorescence. So these tassel inflorescence and ear inflorescence. So this kind of appearance we can observe. So male flower at the top. So pollen grains can easily detach from the flower, and that will be gets catch by the female flowers. So stigma of the female flower catch the pollen grains. So this is the wind pollination. Second, pollination by water, that is phenomenon is a hydrophily. So flowers is a hydrophilous flower. So flowers are what? Hydrophilous flowers. So here is it is found only in same 30 genera of the aquatic monocots. Again, this is found in a monocot plants, and near about the 30 genera of the aquatic monocot plant prefer the water pollination. So like Vallisneria, Zostera, these are the examples of the water pollination. So adaptations of the hydrophilous flowers. So hydrophilous flowers adaptation, what are these? Main important is there is flowers are small and inconspicuous. Then perianth and the floral parts as well as the pollen grains unwettable due to the secretion of mucilage. There is an absence of nectar and fragrance. So this is the adaptations we observe in the hydrophilous flower. So these hydrophilous flower are the two types, hypohydrophily and epihydrophily. What is that hypohydrophily? The pollination occurs below the water surface. That is called as a hypohydrophily. So pollination occurs below the water surface because pollen grains are heavy than the water. So they sink down, and that will be gets catched by the female flower and carry out the pollination. So that is a hypohydrophily, and this we can observe in the Zostera plant. So pollen grains are long, ribbon-like, and the without exine. Now there is a epihydrophily. Pollen grains float on the water surface. So that's why female flower reach to the water surface to catch the pollen grains. So that's why here we can observe these type of characteristics we observe in Vallisneria plant. So Vallisneria plant are the two types, dioecious, male plant and female plant. Male plant produces the male flower, female plant produces the female flower. So male plants of flower detach from the plant and float on the water surface, and the female flower at the base which shows the long style, and this style reach to the water surface to catch the pollen grain. So that is we observe in the Vallisneria plant. It is a submerged dioecious plant, freshwater plant. Now this is the diagram of Vallisneria. Here we can easily make out male plant, female plant which produces the male flower. Here is a female flower. You can easily make out female flowers long style. And this is the stigma which comes on the water surface. the male flower detached from the male plant and float on the water surface, that will be gets catched by the stigma. So this is the male and female plant of the Vallisneria. Now there is a biotic agents. So biotic agents are nothing but the living agents. So biotic agents includes what? Living agents. So what are these living agents? Insect, bird, snail, bat. So these are the biotic agents. So 80% plant requires the help of other living or moving creatures, insect, bird, bat, snail, to transfer the pollen grain from one flower to the another flower, and this is also sustain our ecosystem to produce the seed by the reproduction. So these are the natural, these all are insect, bat, snail, birds, these are all natural resources used by the flower to carry out the reproduction, to produce what? Seeds. Now first one we will study about the pollination by insect. So phenomenon entomophily. So entomophily is the phenomena that is what? Insect pollination. So to attract insect, so what kind of a characteristics should be there? So insect gets attracted by the bright color flower and the sweet smell. So these characteristics is a must, and then presence of nectar. If this food is not there, then why insect will waste its energy to visit the flower? So nectar is very important. So these are the, so here rose and jasmine, sistrum, so these are the attractive flower plants. So these plants prefers the insect pollination. So adaptation, as I told you, they are large, showy and often bright color. Then flowers produce the sweet odor, that is a smell, and have nectar gland. So there should be sweet odor and a nectar gland. So this is the stigma are the two types, either rough or sticky. If it is a rough, it is just because of presence of hair, and if it is a sticky, due to the presence of mucilage. So stigma is a rough or sticky. Rough due to the presence of hair and sticky due to the presence of mucilage. So this is a, and the pollen grains are the spinous. Pollen grains are the spinous and shows a yellowish sticky substances called as a pollen kit. So this is the characteristics of the pollen grain. Okay, so these all are the characteristics of the, what is that, entomophilous flower. So there we can observe some special type of adaptations in the flower, that is a lever mechanism or turnpine mechanism in salvia. So salvia flower shows the lever mechanism. So when the insect visit in the flower, so flowers, so one corolla or one stamen gets bent on its back. So pollen grain gets stick on the wings of the insect. So this kind of a bending we observe in the salvia flower. So there are the two types of anther-lobes. One is a fertile, other one is a sterile. Fertile is a short and the sterile, no, fertile is a long, sorry, and the sterile is a short. So here we observe the shorter anther-lobe, on that insect gets it, and the fertile lobe, anther-lobe, gets touch on the wings of the insect. So this kind of a bending we observe, or two types of lobe, anther-lobes, sterile and fertile. So that's why this is called as a lever mechanism or turnpike mechanism in salvia. Now there is a pollination by birds. So here I want to show you in the picture. This one is a flower. Here it cannot be clearly made out, but this is the these here insects sit on the sterile antelope, and the fertile antelope touch on its back or wings. So that is the mechanism, lever mechanism. So it gets flower, you can easily make out the flower gets bending due to the weight of insect. So this is a salvia flower or lever mechanism. Now pollination by birds, ornithophily. This is the phenomenon. Flowers are the ornithophilous flower. Now these ornithophily, what is that? Pollination by the birds. So bird pollination. So bird is slightly bigger than the insect. So flower should be large or bigger, and what is that? Attractive, and presence of large amount of what is that? Nectar. So food is a must. So that's why if these characteristics or adaptation is present in the flower, the birds can get attract. Here we can see only a few types of birds are specialized for the pollination. What are the sunbirds and the hummingbirds? So what is the speciality in that bird? This bird's body is a small and the beak is a large. So the flower is a tubular one, and so just because of that, this long beak they insert in the tubular flower and sucks the nectar. So dilated nectar is present. Diluted nectar we can observe in the tubular flower. So these flowers are which plants from bombax, beauty, bottle brush. So these are the plants. Here in this picture you can see birds, long beak insert in the tubular flower. So this is the tubular flower. Now adaptation in ornithoflowers. Flowers are usually bright color, large and showy, secretes a profuse dilute nectar. Pollen grains are sticky and spiny. Flowers are generally without fragrance because lack of sense of smell in the birds. So poor sense of smell in the birds, so they're not requirement of fragrance. Now there is a pollination by bats. Phenomenon is a chiropterophily. So again, bat is a comparatively bigger than the earlier one, avian, that is a bird. So flower should be large or bigger in size, okay, and the presence of nectar. So large amount, abundance amount of nectar, and the pollen grains are the edible one. So these are the characteristics. Due to this, the bat gets attracted, and there is a strong odor we can observe in the flower. So what is that? Bat can transport the pollen grains over long distance. So bat moves long distance. They travel long distance. So that's why pollen grain also carry from one place to the another place. The distance can be 1 kilometer long. So several kilometers long. So these adaptations in the Chiropterophilus plant we can observe here. Flowers are the dull color with strong fragrance and secretes the abundance nectar. Flowers produces the large amount of edible pollen grains. So what are these plants? Kadam plants, sausage plant, bobag trees. So these are the plants which prefers the bat pollination. So here I completed the topic of pollination. In the next topic, I will start with the outbreeding device, and there is a outbreeding device and pistil interactions, what kind of a, that we will see in the next topic. So this is all about the pollination. Thank you.